Episode 7, The Emotional Dimension, the Heart of It All. The 7D Creator, Rising, Creating, Evolving. The Heart of It All. The emotional dimension, where the truest creative voice lives. The dimension that makes all the others real. Welcome to the final episode of the 7D Creator. We have traveled far together, through the spirit and the calling, through the body and the mind, through community and the world around us. 7 dimensions of a creative life, each one essential, each one interconnected, each one a different doorway into the fullness of who you are as a creator. And I have saved this one for last, not because it is the most important, though I believe it might be, but because it is the most intimate, the most vulnerable, the most real, the emotional dimension, the dimension that makes all the others feel like something, the dimension that turns knowledge into wisdom, that turns community into belonging, that turns work into calling, that turns a body into a home, that turns an environment into a sanctuary, that turns a spiritual practice into a lived encounter with something holy. Without the emotional dimension, everything else in your creative life is technically functional. Correct? Possibly even impressive, but it does not move anyone. Because moving people requires that you yourself were moved first. The most powerful creative work in the history of human expression has always come from this dimension. The painting that makes you stop breathing. The song that finds the exact feeling you could not name. The story that makes you feel less alone in the middle of the night. The performance that breaks something open in your chest in the best possible way. All of it, every single piece of it, came from a creator who was willing to go into their emotional dimension and bring back what they found there. Today, we go there together. What the emotional dimension really is. I want to begin by clearing away some misunderstandings about what the emotional dimension is. It is not, as some people assume, about being emotional in the sense of being unstable, reactive, or led entirely by feeling with no room for reason or judgment. It is not, as others might assume, about performing vulnerability. The strategic sharing of calculated personal revelations designed to create connection without actually risking anything real. And it is not, as the hustle culture would have you believe, a weakness to be managed, minimized, and kept out of your professional creative work as much as possible. The emotional dimension is very simply your capacity to feel and your willingness to let what you feel inform what you create. Every human being has an inner life, an interior world of experience, joys, griefs, fears, loves, longings, angers, hopes, doubts, that is as real and as significant as anything that exists in the outer world. And most people spend a significant portion of their lives trying to manage, suppress, or perform their way around this interior world rather than genuinely inhabiting it. The creator who inhabits their interior world, who is willing to feel what they feel fully, to sit with it honestly, and to bring the truth of it into their creative work, has access to something that creators who avoid their emotional dimension simply do not. They have access to resonance. Resonance, the quality that makes someone encounter your creative work and feel that it is about them, that it speaks directly to their experience, that it reaches inside them and touches something true. Resonance is the difference between content that informs and content that transforms, between work that is consumed and work that is kept, between a creator who is followed and a creator who is loved. And resonance cannot be manufactured. It can only be found in the depths of genuine emotional honesty. The story of the creator who learned to feel. This story is the most personal one I will tell in this entire series. And I am telling it because I believe it belongs to more people than just me. There was a creator who was very good at being strong. She had learned early through the specific experiences that teach this particular lesson that emotions were things to move through quickly, not to dwell in. That strength meant not letting people see you hurt. That professionalism meant keeping the personal separate from the work. That the way to be taken seriously was to present yourself as unshakable. And she was good at it. Genuinely good. She built things, created things, produced things, all from a place of remarkable competence and discipline and forward momentum. But there was a texture missing from the work. She could feel it even when she could not name it. A kind of smoothness where there should have been grain. A surface without depth. And then something happened that she could not be strong about. A loss that was too large. A grief that would not be moved through quickly. That insisted on being felt. That sat down in the middle of her life and refused to leave until it had been genuinely acknowledged. And in the not being strong, in the weeks of genuine, reluctant, tearful, terrifying feeling, something else happened that she had not expected. She made the most honest thing she had ever made. Not a polished thing, not a strategically crafted thing, something raw and true and specific. That came entirely from the depths of what she was actually going through. And she shared it, tentatively, afraid of what it would reveal about her, afraid it was too much. And the response broke something open in her understanding of what creative work was for. Hundreds of people told her, in their own words, from their own experiences, that this thing she had made had reached them in a place nothing had ever reached before, that they had never felt so seen by someone they had never met. She had not made something for them. She had made something from the truest part of herself. And in doing so, she had made something that belonged to everyone who had ever felt what she was feeling. That is the emotional dimension. That is what it gives, not just to the people who receive the work, to the creator who makes it. The willingness to feel fully, honestly, without performing or managing or strategically deploying, is the willingness to make the most powerful creative work of your life. How to live and create from the emotional dimension. Let me give you 5 practices for the emotionally alive creator. Practice 1. Feel first, create second. Before you sit down to create, check in with yourself emotionally. Not to manage what you find, to acknowledge it. What is actually alive in you right now? What are you carrying? What have you been feeling that you have not yet made space for? You do not have to make work about what you find, but knowing what is present emotionally before you begin allows you to create with full honesty rather than creating in spite of what is actually happening inside you. Practice 2. Journal without agenda. Keep a private creative journal, not for content, not for ideas you can use, just for truth. For the unfiltered, uncurated, unperformed record of your actual emotional life. Write in it regularly. Write what you actually feel, not what you think you should feel or what sounds better. This journal is the emotional source material for everything your public creative work eventually touches. It is where honesty lives before it is ready to be shared. Practice 3. Process before you publish. The emotional dimension is not a license to share everything raw and immediate. The most powerful emotionally resonant creative work comes from emotion that has been felt fully, and then processed enough to be shaped into something that another person can receive. Raw emotion is data. Processed emotion is wisdom. The creator who learns to move from one to the other, to feel deeply fast and then to give that feeling form, makes work that heals rather than wounds, that invites rather than overwhelms. Practice 4. Receive emotion as creative information. Everything you feel is information. Anger tells you where your values have been violated. Grief tells you what you loved. Fear tells you where your edge is. Joy tells you what aligns with your truest self. Longing tells you what you are moving toward. The emotionally intelligent creator does not try to feel only the pleasant emotions. They learn to receive all of it, including the difficult, as creative information, as the raw material of honest, resonant, transformational work. Practice 5. Heal publicly, carefully, generously. Sharing your emotional journey, the falls and the rising, is one of the most powerful things a creator can do. But it requires discernment. Share from the scar, not just from the wound. The scar is the experience that has been felt, processed, and integrated enough to offer something to others. The wound is still in process, and some wounds need to be held privately or in trusted relationship before they are ready to be shared with an audience. Know the difference and err on the side of generosity, because your healed experience, offered honestly, is one of the greatest gifts you can give to the people who are still in the middle of something similar. The interconnection, how the emotional dimension completes all the others. The emotional dimension does not just connect to the other 6, it breathes life into them. The spiritual dimension, without emotional depth, becomes religion without relationship, rules without love, practice without presence. The emotion is what makes the spiritual real. The genuine awe, the genuine gratitude, the genuine humility and love that transforms spiritual practice from performance into encounter. The occupational dimension, without emotional depth, becomes productivity without purpose, achievement without satisfaction, success without joy. The emotion is what makes the work matter. The genuine passion, the genuine care for the people served, the genuine love of the creative act itself. The physical dimension, without emotional depth, becomes the body as machine, optimized, maintained, deployed, but not truly inhabited. The emotion is what makes the body a home, the pleasure of movement, the comfort of rest, the gratitude for health, the compassionate care in illness. The intellectual dimension, without emotional depth, becomes knowledge without wisdom, information without meaning. The most intellectually brilliant work that does not also carry emotional truth does not change lives. The emotion is what transforms information into insight and insight into transformation. The social dimension, without emotional depth, becomes networking without connection, audience without community. The emotion is what makes relationship real. The genuine care, the genuine vulnerability, the genuine love that transforms acquaintance into belonging. The environmental dimension, without emotional depth, becomes beautiful but empty. Spaces without feeling, nature without wonder. The emotion is what makes an environment sacred, the sense of awe in the face of beauty, the gratitude for the natural world, the reverence that makes stewardship natural. The emotional dimension is not one of the 7. It is the life in all 7. Without it, you have 7 dimensions of activity. With it, you have a life. The full circle, the 7D creator who lives whole. We have arrived at the end of our journey through the 7 dimensions. And I want to take this final moment to bring it all together, to let you see what you have been building across these 7 episodes in its fullness. The 7D creator is not someone who has mastered all 7 dimensions. Mastery is not the point. The 7D creator is someone who is conscious of all 7 dimensions, who knows that they are interconnected, who tends each one with intention and love, not perfectly, but faithfully, who returns to their spirit when they lose their way, who honors their body when it speaks, who nourishes their mind when it hungers, who invests in their community when it needs them, who designs their environment with care, who creates from the depths of their emotional truth, and who expresses all of it through work that carries their full, alive, growing, healing self into the world. This is not a destination, it is a practice. A daily, imperfect, beautiful practice of choosing again and again to be fully alive in every dimension of your life. Some days you will be fully alive in your spirit and exhausted in your body. Some days you will be intellectually on fire and emotionally depleted. Some days you will feel connected to your community and disconnected from your purpose. Some days everything will feel aligned, and those days will feel like coming home. The 7D creator does not demand perfection from themselves across 7 dimensions simultaneously. They simply refuse to abandon any dimension permanently. They know that every part of their life feeds their creativity, and so they tend every part of their life as the sacred, interconnected, living whole that it is. And I want to say one more thing. The most important thing, you are already a creator. You do not have to become one. You do not have to earn the title. You do not have to achieve a certain level of following or income or recognition before you qualify. You are born one. The creative energy that moves through you, that pushes ideas up through your consciousness, that makes you see beauty where others see ordinary, that makes you want to make something from nothing. That energy is not a personality trait or a skill set. It is a fundamental human capacity. It is the same energy that built the first shelter, drew the first painting on a cave wall, sang the first song around the first fire. It is in you. It has always been in you. And nothing, no failure, no criticism, no season of silence, no amount of doubt can take it from you. What you do with it, how fully you give yourself permission to live it, that is the journey. The 7D creator journey. The most meaningful, the most alive, the most you journey available. Begin it, continue it, return to it every single day. The world needs what you carry. The final word. We are all one, 7 dimensions, one life, one creator, one love at the foundation of everything. I am so grateful you took this journey with me. I am so grateful for every person listening to these words who has decided, quietly or loudly, tentatively or boldly, that they are going to stop waiting and start creating. That they are going to stop managing their creative energy and start living from it. The Smart Investor Leader community, the 7D community, is here for you. Not just as an audience for your creative work. As your tribe, the people who understand what it means to take the 7 dimensions of life seriously. Who are building lives that are not just successful, but whole. Come build it with us. And remember, always, love is the foundation of every dimension, of every creation, of every life fully lived. Go create. The world has been waiting for exactly you. With all my love, Gladys. Thank you for spending this moment with me today. If this conversation moved you, share it. Not because I need the numbers, but because somewhere in your world there is a person who needs to hear exactly what you just heard. Be the reason they find it. And come find me at Smart Investor Leader, where we continue this journey together. Every dimension, every day, every version of you that is still becoming. See you there at www.smartinvestorleader.com.